All right. What do you call yourself?
My given trail name, even though I'm not on trail, I'm a bicycle tourist, is Volcano.
And Volcano, where were you living before you started your bike tour?
I was living in Salt Lake City, Utah.
And where are you from originally?
Montreal. Yeah,
Okay.
and from Montreal, I lived in Austin, Texas for over a decade.
And Volcano, what are you passionate about?
Volcanoes, which is why the trail name was given to me. I hadn't really mountaineered before this trip, so this bike tour came about because when I broke my leg 2 winters ago, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to bike down the country? And so I committed to doing that, and I didn't want to be 2 months without rock climbing because I love rock climbing. So I brought my rock climbing gear, and I figured I was also going to be in the Pacific Northwest, so why not learn how to be a mountaineer? So I brought my mountaineering gear with me. So my whole setup with the bike was 90 pounds. So that's how much I was hauling up in Washington, which was really hard. And I climbed Rainier and St. Helens and Mount Adams, and then hiked some non-technical volcanoes. And Rainier was just so fun. I loved it. It was beautiful up there. It was otherworldly. And I got pretty hooked on it. And now I want to keep mountaineering.
And what do you think about the bike tour, like generally? Or what do you think about bike touring or this bike tour? Like, what are your thoughts on it so far?
It's a lot of suffering, but it's getting more fun as I'm getting stronger. Washington was really hard on me because I was learning to be alone and doing really big passes with a lot of weight. And it was just hard all the time, and I was getting rained on all the time. So that was pretty rough. But Oregon was fun. I didn't do too much mountaineering in Oregon, but the passes were a lot smaller, and I was a lot stronger. And now I'm in California, and it's hot, but I've got a lot more leg muscle, so it's not bad. I just have to get over the heat now.
And could you share a story from your bike tour?
Yeah, okay. So the most shenanigans I had to pull on this bike tour was trying to get to Mount Rainier National Park, because I had to get to Mount Rainier about 5 days after the start of my tour, and I started my tour at the border of Canada.
Because of permits?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's when I was going to climb it with my climbing partners. And Mount Rainier is not really close to the Canadian border, so I cycled as far as I could. Then I bought a Greyhound bus ticket from this little town called Brewster in Washington. Brewster is a little industrial cherry picking town. There's not much going on there. And when I bought the ticket, I was told that I needed to put my bike in a box, which is problematic because it's my only mode of transportation. And I also had to find a bike box in this tiny town that had no bike shop whatsoever. So I show up, I ride in, and I find a box at the motel. And then the morning of, I strap the box to my rear rack and bike it down the highway, and it's like a giant wind sail. It's so ridiculous. Like, the box is, it's like this big. It's huge. And I get to the bus station, and I take my bike apart and put it into the box, and then the bus never shows up. So I hitchhiked down with this other young woman who was also who was waiting for the same bus that never showed up. We hitchhiked down to Wenatchee, and then from Wenatchee, I took a really expensive Uber to Yakima. And I got to Yakima and checked into the hotel, and the bike wouldn't even fit into the elevator. And then the elevator stopped working. It was a mess. And then I got screamed at in the street by a bunch of tweakers. But eventually I got to Mount Rainier and with my climbing partners, and it was an amazing experience, and it was worth it in the end. So.
Okay. And how did you end up here? Like, how did you end up on this bike tour? Is this something you've always wanted to do? Have you done a lot of other bike touring? Is it just random?
I'm not a cyclist.
Okay.
So like I mentioned earlier, I just thought I was bike commuting a lot after I broke my leg because it was very low impact, and on one of my commutes to work. I mean, these commutes were only 5 miles each way. I just thought it would be really fun to do that. I had that idea and I didn't act on it for a while. And then I remembered a friend of mine did a bike tour, and I was like, okay, here's a friend doing it, I should do it too. So I finally did it. Now I'm here.
Cool.
In the middle of California.
Awesome. Thank you so much.